I napped for a second. I woke up.
And here
Tick,
we
tick,
are.
boom.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. My good friend Dewey Freeman. I'm Mark Sylvester. We are the Elder Council. You know, there's a lot of new guys in the nation and a lot of new guys coming in.
Yeah. And I did Traver open it back up? Is that what's happening?
I think it feels like, and who knows when someone is going to be listening to this. So there's,
Right.
you know, we're coming up. We're getting scary close to 50 episodes, my friend. We're at today's 49. So next week, 50.
We're going to hit the big 50 next week.
Well,
that's scary.
It's in our dojo, it says consistency over time equals results. And that's how this happens. I can't tell you how many people, because I help, strategize podcasts and help people create them and that kind of thing. And they get 5 and they're done. They're like 5 and they're like, yeah, no. The world is littered with 5 episodes of a pod, or when blogs were really a big deal, they wrote 5 and then nothing. And so hitting a milestone like that is to your point, it's a big deal, but it's because we have a commitment to a thing of getting better at the thing, right? And totally. And you do it, you get up early, you do the work.
Yeah. And I'm really proud of what we have done and what we're doing.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting because I keep track of all the themes that we have, and what I thought we'd talk about today, because this, in a weird way, this is training, right? Listening to this, because the kinds of things we're talking about are like, if this is the stuff they did not teach you in school.
That would be true.
Right. And it's a way for us to kind of codify the school of hard knocks, if you will, so that it can get transferred, which got me thinking about my own educational journey and what that is like now. I didn't go to college. I know you did. Mine was all on the job, or, in marriages, or, reading smart books that people smarter than me suggested I read. And it got me thinking about a personal learning path and how intentional you could be. Not that any of us really are, but after we get out of school, we're like, okay, I'm done with that. But we don't, if we really are lifelong learners, can you plot a path? Should you plot a path? Have you plotted a path? That's what I'd like to chat about today.
Okay. So just on a personal level, have you done that?
I have.
Are you open to just speaking about that a little bit? And then I'm happy to speak about what I do with that.
Yeah, this the notion, like giving it those words, came up about 10 years ago. A friend of mine had built an online training program. It was the first one to learn computer training. And I pitched, it was a very, very, very big deal. Still is. It ended up getting bought by LinkedIn, and now it's called LinkedIn Learning. But the idea that occurred then was, when you have all of this content, that I want to get better at leadership. I want to get better at managing people. I want to get better at talking. I want to be better at writing. I want to, all those things. There's all the things like, for me, I was like, gosh, there's all this stuff I could learn. What I was hoping to build, we never built, but it's still in my mind, was an AI that would say, okay, let's kind of figure out where you are today. Where's your proficiency on all these various things, the 30 7 things you need to be good at to start with, and running, in my case, it's in business.
Mm-hmm.
And then say, okay, what do you need to do to get all of those levers up to a level of proficiency? We've talked about to having conscious competence across that spectrum, and then have the system suggest, oh, well, you're going to want a little of this, you're going to want a little of this, you're going to want to go read a book on emotional intelligence, you're going to maybe go start listening to some pods on marketing, et cetera, et cetera. There isn't anything like that.
No.
People put out, like masterclass.com is a good example of very high level content from very high functioning humans who've been there, done that across a wide range. And, I got a subscription to that and devoured all of that. But it didn't have the what I would like, which is okay, next up for you. It's next up for you typically is based on stuff I've done in the past. Well, that's stuff I did in the past. Okay, here's more of that. No, what I want a bot, if you will, I'm okay with that, to know, okay, young Padawan, here's the next thing. And my deepest desire would be that the next thing was like, oh shit, because I'm unconsciously incompetent in an area. So there's no way I could know I need to know. Right. Therein lies the dilemma for the lifelong learner. I don't know what I don't know, but someone could please say, hey, go do this.
Give this a try. Right.
That's where I'm at on this whole thing. So I'm constantly looking for what's the next thing I need to know.
Do you have a particular kind of way that you try to figure out what that is?
It's I have a lot of faith that the universe knows better than I do. And the universe will put things in my path that I need to deal with. And so that may be, hey, Sylvester, you haven't figured out this yet. So I'm just going to create a whole lot of that in your life, and you'll figure it out by the fact that I put that in front of your life. And that frame was instilled in me when I was 16 years old. I specifically remember I had just got involved in the Jesus Freak movement. And I remember praying for patience. Like, I need patience. Pray for patience, Lord. I need patience. And all these situations would come up that made me impatient, like a lot of it. And I talked to the father minister about it, and he goes, oh, well, you asked for patience. Now your patience is being tested. That's how it works. I was like, oh, really? You ask for a thing and you get the opposite. But the idea is
you're getting
right.
that. Right.
And I was so thankful to learn that. I stopped asking for shit.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Is that what you're saying?
And consequently, I still get lots of those situations, and I really believe that. So if you follow our thoughts about competence, which we've talked a lot about, I really dive into this idea of unconscious incompetence, and what do I not even know I'm not good at, because I know there's something I could get good at. And maybe it's just I'm an obsessive compulsive learner.
Do you ever imagine yourself at a certain stage in life or a certain age, say 5 years from now, where you're looking back and going, what is it that I need to know, or what do I want to know, or what would I do I need to learn in this?
Well, that brings up the other thing is I don't have a rear view mirror.
Mm.
I didn't get one of those at the factory.
Yeah, I don't know that I have that either. Many times what I will do is, and it's a little playful thing, is I'll go, okay, when I'm 75 and I look back, what will it be what will I be, what can I have done, and what can I have explored that at 75 I'll be sitting there going, oh, I'm satisfied with that.
Hmm. It's kind of what I'm thinking this morning is about is can we future pace enough? Because you and I both know that we do this thing called stakes in the ground where we
Mm.
set a near-term horizon of about 18 months, right? And then say what do we want to celebrate in 18 months? And then we work backwards from that to say, what do I need to do in 9 months? What I do in 9 weeks? What I do in 9 days? What I do in 9 hours? What do I do in 9 minutes?
Right.
Right. To
Mhm.
get to that. So this, I'm just kind of, I think, expanding the time horizon out, but applying it to um I guess skill set. So I'm not thinking about accomplishments as much as I am of what tools do I have? What tools do I need? Which tools need to stay really sharp? Which tools, God, I can go on this metaphor for a while. Um,
Mhm.
which tools don't get used very often. So every so often you got to pick them up just to make sure they still,
They
you
still
gotta,
work.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think needle nose pliers are like that the most. They tend to get stuck.
Needle nose pliers and vice grips.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I tend to have a number of what I would call silos.
Hmm.
And um, and in those silos, I tend to try to explore what I know and then what I want to know. And if I have a silo that I don't know what I really want or need to know, that's part of what I do as I go start talking to people.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I also have a thing of where I, I mean, I just share this is a very real piece is what I realized, it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, that if I'm uh, so context, my birthday's coming up in July. I'll be 72. If at 75, I am not, if I can't, at 75, if I can't look back and go, I've set up my life to ride my horse or be in nature a minimum of 4 days a week, I'm going to be really pissed if I've frittered away my life in doing other things instead of that. And not in a, and then I go about going, okay, what do I need to do to set that up? And um, and then that expands into 1,000 different possible directions. One is just setting up the time and like organizing my time in such a way that I can do that. Another is it's like, okay, well, if I'm going to do that, I need to be in have a certain level of fitness to do that, and a certain level of still flexibility. I also need a horse, for instance, that I can do that with. and be safe. And then that just begins a whole process of exploration. The other thing that I've made a commitment to do in my life is, and I don't know, probably I do this 98% of the time. And that is I spend a minimum of 45 minutes a day exploring something new or exploring the next step of something. Might be horsemanship. It might be like one of the pieces that just is fascinating to me right now, or have to do with how nature, plants, earth, beings other than human, how do they affect our health? Another, another thing that I'm exploring, sort of another silo, is where can I go with in my life to learn more about both horsemanship and nature-based work. Who can I find that I can learn from? I also have other interest in, deepening how I do the work that I do. I have interest in how do I deepen my relationship with Kimberly. But every day I spend a certain amount of time exploring what is new in those different silos. I have an interest. I'm on the fire department here. I have an interest in, learning about things such as what happens with wildfires. Why do they do what they do? I mean, those are just some of the things but that's been my commitment, and it's twofold. One is, when I'm X age and looking back, what will I have done that I will go, yes, that was satisfying. I'm glad I did that. And then in part to get there, it's virtually every day I try to explore something new, either in those silos or some other things that are new that I learned from other people, like, for instance, storytelling, or like, for instance, how do I share certain ideas, or who might I want to talk to learn something from, those kind of things.
It makes me think of something you said earlier, which is you don't want to look back and say, shit, I fritter those 3 years.
Right.
And even if, while 45 minutes doesn't sound like a lot of time, it is what we said earlier: consistency over time equals results, right? So consistently spending, just having some personal exploration time. I immediately, because I'm a systems thinker, go to some visualization with a bunch of knobs for all your different silos, and they're like competency knobs. So like, where am I? Where do I want to spend some time? And
totally.
And I there's two things there. One is consciously setting the time aside to do that. Two is actually doing it and not letting some other life priority steal that time from you. I find that happens to me a lot. When I did, Kimberly keeps saying, don't say you're retired, because you're not retired. But when I left the venture capital job, So we'll say that. I said, okay, so that freed up 70 hours in the week because that's how much I was spending.
Wow.
Take now and look at the calendar and create blocks for the things I want to do. Like that. Okay, so if I created that much time, and to be very honest, I don't get a tenth of that of what I set. Because I'm looking at now, it's 6 months ish. It's 7 months. I had a plan. Okay, I'll spend this much time on this and this much time on this. I've not done that. Life has kind of filled in all of that. So this conversation has me wanting to kind of look at that and evaluate that, so that because I really like that intentional time. I have a question on the 45 minutes. Do you let the universe kind of guide what that time is going to be? That's one question. Is it a set time, or is it more of I know I'm going to do that today, and could you at the end of each day say, oh, I didn't get that in, or I did, and it ended up being 2 hours because I got really absorbed?
I oftentimes do 2 times a day. Sometimes it's 25 to 30 minutes each time. One is very early in the morning. I'm often up by 5 and grab my coffee and begin a sit spot, and then that morphs into something. Oftentimes that will morph into me writing. And you turned me on to this, is the morning pages. And there's a morning page app that I downloaded. Instead of, I don't write it out by hand. That's actually because, especially after I hurt my hand, that's fairly difficult actually, and so sloppy I can't read what I wrote later. And then that sets me up for the rest of the day. And throughout the day, I have sort of flashes of, oh, I want to, let me, oh, that'd be cool. Those kind of things, or actually I want to go back and finish something. And then
so with that exact thing right there, just stop for just a second. How do you capture the fleeting thought?
Actually, I remember it.
See, I'm shit at that. So I go to my Apple Watch and I'll say, Siri, remind me to, and then I'll say whatever the thing is.
Oh, I might have to learn how to do that.
And there's an app that comes with the watch and on a Mac that's just called Reminders. So at a minimum, it just says that thing. But I could say, like I do, remind me to drink water every 4 hours. And so now there's a reminder every 4 hours, my wrist will go, oh, drink water. Oh, yeah, okay. And I just get the water and I drink the water, or remind me to go look up something. And I've been doing that for about 5 months now, and I forget so much less, because Kimberly will mention something, or you'll be doing something, you'll go, and my brain just fills fast. Right. So and I don't want, when you get Stack Overflow, right? We're engineers, we know what Stack Overflow is. When you get Stack Overflow, that shit just goes away. So, and especially as I get older, for me, I forget. So I'm just using tech, and I don't want to type because my hands are, so I just can talk. There's microphones, your watch is listening, your phone is listening. Hey, remind me at 6 p.m. to do this. Oh, and you look, oh. So I try to remove all the barriers to that stuff. So I'm curious then, and this is something I wish I don't do enough of, is a reflection at the end of the day. So we've talked about starting the day this way, but then a reflection at the end of the day on what did I get done? Did I get that thing, that on your personal learning path, right?
Mhm.
Right. Just that one particular silo. Have you ever done that?
I do that a little bit. The- What's interesting to me is I'll do my day, and then I sort of have some routines at night, and I check in on some news stuff and world events, and um, I'm not a big TV watcher because it's just so boring. I mean, I have a TV that has 900 channels on it. There's not much on there that's interesting. And somewhere around 8-ish, 8 or 8:30, my system just goes into a place of going, I want to explore. And I sort of go into a place of was there anything during the day that I wanted to make sure I got done that I didn't do? Or but it's usually, what can I find and what can I look at that's creative here?
Mm.
Um, and sometimes that truly is that place of coming um, and going, wow, I started this, or I didn't do that. And sometimes it's, I'll sketch out a plan for building a retainer wall. Sometimes it'll be, oh, I want to look up this particular piece of information. Sometimes it'll um, like I'm in, as you know, a a intensive storytelling business class. I'll sit down and make 8 videos of a minute and a half, and they're all sort of shitty. And I actually don't care, because because what I'm working on certain things, of whether or not, it's like, where's my eyesight, how am I speaking, where am I speaking from in my body, and do I have a sequencing thing going on where I'm actually following a sequence that would make sense to somebody following me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just play mostly. And some of the videos I make, I mean, they're literally 14 seconds long. And I go, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. And I just mess with stuff.
I think it's that experimentation and just constantly trying things that is how we get to mastery. I mean, I'm in pursuit of mastery all the time. Right. Maybe that's what I'm thinking about, is pursuit of mastery over myself, over my schedule, over the demands, over what I'm learning, mastery over when I'm in the kitchen. Like I remember the grandmaster saying that it wasn't that you knew how to do 10,000 kicks. It was that you could do a side kick 10,000 times.
Right.
Right. And so I think that is clearly in the kitchen. I do 4 shifts a week, and I'm always looking at technique. Always. I do the same thing, but I was like, yeah, I could make a minute less, or this or that. Like I'm constantly testing about it. I don't know. Is that the scientific method, Doc? That we're applying the scientific method to our lives? Is that what we've done over all these years?
Well, the scientific method is probably a little more structured than what you and I are talking about. I think actually the answer I think is no. But I think that what both of us are doing is, and I don't know, maybe this would be the theme of the day, is I try to make shit up. And then I see if it holds any water, if it makes any sense. And it's like, and I put together, and I put together like a whole attachment theory. I put together a whole theory of development. I put together all kinds of stuff with the horses. So my invitation to people is to make shit up. And it doesn't have to be even good shit. It's just shit. Because when you do that, what will happen is that the good stuff will sort of, it'll find its way to the surface. And
that's, this is what it is. And it sounds like the personal learning path then is to constantly be inventing, constantly, thinking about your ideas. And then there's I think a big part of that is socializing it, sharing it with someone to say, hey, how did that land?
right.
Oh, was that, go back, what was that bit? And then you go, oh, they liked that part.
Right.
That part was interesting. That part stuck. That and to two guys who are super creative and have invented tons of things, it is from that. I don't know if it comes from problem solving. We see a problem, we want to solve it, or there's a problem that people don't think can be solved, and we're like, I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I have a way of maybe going about that, or maybe making a better mousetrap. And I think it's through that we find out, I'm going to need this skill to be better at solving that problem. And so it's almost like what they call just-in-time learning.
Right. Perfect. Just-in-time learning and just-in-time making shit up.
My friend, I can't wait till we talk again. That was just in time learning, just in time making shit up. There you go. That's our show. Hey, we'll see you next week. Sir.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you,
sir.
Show
50
next week. Let's make really good shit up for this.